Welcome, everyone, to the latest episode of the West End Zone podcast. Today, we have a very special guest, Mario Pino, linebackers coach and JV head coach of Belen Jesuit Wolverines, a guy that I met back in 2009. I have huge admiration for this guy, and he immediately became a big part of my life and a sort of mentor, and he's continued that. And we kind of had like an off-script type of conversation talking about the vocation of coaching and football and spirituality, and I think it was great, and I think you guys could get a lot out of it. I hope you enjoy. So, Coach, I've met you probably like I'm gonna guess like 2009, and I heard all about you, and like people, Gonzo and Lou and Joey were all like, I mean, like, get ready to meet Mario, dude. Like, he's intense. Like, you're gonna love this guy, but get ready. And I was like, oh man, and like being in football, like that type of personality, like it's everywhere. You know what I mean? Like it's like part of the way you gotta be. And then I was on your practice field like on day one or something, or like something was going on, and you saw me, and you were like, saw me that I was like someone that was new, but I was on the field, and then you like came like right to me, and then like like you put your hand out there, and you're like, hey, like I'm so and so, and then that's how I met you, and or at least that's how I think I met you. And then we ended up working together for like 4 years, and I had always like looked up to you as someone that I could like model my life around, and I saw kind of like you were a guy that had like a real person, like not like someone else kind of handed everything, like you made your own way, and I still look up to you. So you called me about a year ago to, do some sort of, like a networking thing, and I didn't even know what it was. And I just said yes because it was you. I was like, you know what, Coach Mario wants me to do it, so I'm gonna do it.
Thanks,
And
man.
that's like it's been years since,
Yeah.
like we spoke or whatever. So, I thought you'd be a good person on the podcast. I had. I've been wanting to expand the podcast away from just only football, and mix in some some other topics and things like that, and um, just because I think football and the lessons you learn in football, and all those sorts of things, it the those sorts of lessons like extend into all parts of life, and I don't know where I would be if I didn't have this. So that's my long intro. Welcome to the podcast.
I appreciate you having me. I agree wholeheartedly. You know what I'm saying you could probably fit the knowledge that I know about football on a pinhead. I'm not very. I don't even watch football. To tell you the truth, college, pros. I mean, it could be. I mean, I don't not watch it. It could be
Right,
on,
right.
and I'll either whatever the Super Bowl I might watch. Um, but I played it in high school, and I played it. I hadn't played park ball. I kind of just went into. I went to Jesuit in New Orleans, and I in ninth grade I went to Jesuit and got into tackle football for the first time in my life, and played 4 years of high school football. Um, I was on the JV. Like we had decent enough depth that like it was unusual for under. We had some underclassmen that but on top of that, the coach, I wasn't like one of the coach's favorite guys. So so I played on the freshman team. I didn't come off the field. As a sophomore, I played on JV. We won all our games undefeated my freshman year. As a sophomore, I was on the JV. We were undefeated. My junior year, I was on the JV team undefeated,
Right.
and then my senior year, we wound up losing 2 games, and didn't even make the playoffs. So in my high school career, where I was the one
Wow.
playing, yeah, I played on teams that we wound up like, our class or whatever had lost maybe 2 games. It was it was rough. The to take that helmet off for the last time and not ever put it back on. But like you said, football to me it was life changing. So just stuff you learn there. Stuff that I apply in my life now.
So you've seen high school football in Dade County and Florida and all that, and obviously there's a big gap in time between your playing days and now. Like what's the biggest difference between playing football like in that state, maybe compared to here?
I don't know, man. New Orleans is just different. I mean, a lot of this, we played in the Catholic League, and they were
Catholic
just
League,
guys. It was
okay.
other Catholic schools, Brother Martin, Shaw, Archbishop Rummel, De La Salle. We played with other Catholic schools,
Right.
and the tradition there is just like where you're like, there's legacies that where the great grandparents went there. So I must have played in front of like, I don't know, like 3,000 to 5,000 people. Like every time it seemed like every time I played because everybody went to the games on Friday.
I see what you're saying.
And it was just it wasn't. You went to the school that you went to, and you didn't leave to go for greener pastures anywhere else, and kind of like you just kind of went to the school that you belonged to,
Yep.
or that your parents had gone to, or that your brother had gone to. You know what I'm saying? So there was just not. It wasn't as. I mean, you just weren't jumping around from one school to another. And you see a lot of that here, and it kind of it's almost like it's like a traveling all-star team where they just kind of move it in groups. And
Yeah,
you're
right.
dealing with a little bit different, like a different animal.
Yeah, like like I call it like the 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 LeBron sort of method, where like just goes to the best team and tries to get the best player together. That's pretty common nowadays.
Well, those war guys that they sell their services, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like what?
Yes, like a mercenary.
Mercenaries, like a bunch of mercs, and they just kind of like going wherever. And I don't know. I just you lose some of the having to work through stuff. You kind of like
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes, when things get bad, you gotta like sort of work through it
clamp
and
down,
like fight
man.
for
You gotta
things.
fight. Yeah, I mean, if you could just jump around and pick an all-star team, you know what I'm saying? I guess it's fun winning like that. But I mean,
Yeah.
what are you putting into it? You know what I'm saying?
So so you played high school ball, and to my understanding, you started coaching again at Belen. Is that safe
I
to
coached
say?
1 year. I coached 1 year Jesuit New Orleans with my brother when my brother was
Okay.
coming up.
Nice.
So then,
So like that was like right after high school.
right? Yeah, well. Roger started. I'm 6 years older than him, so
Okay.
it would have been it was his freshman year. So I was probably like a sophomore or something, or a junior in college. So I
Right.
went back and coach him, and I got the coaching bug. It was just a lot of fun. So it's
Yeah.
almost as much fun as playing.
Yes.
It's not never quite as fun, but just being around it again in that capacity, I loved it. And then
What do you think it is? Like, what's like? Everyone talks about the bug. Like last night, I was watching a documentary about Jimmy Johnson, right? And they're talking about Jimmy Johnson. He left football, right? He left the football. Some people would say early, and they said, he's kind of different because so many other great coaches would leave and then come back, like Bill Parcells, and like those sorts of guys that won big and then won a championship. They left football. They almost always come back. What's that bug? Like, what do you think it is?
I don't know. I believe in it. It's like you believe in just like what kind of fortitude and the stuff that you get out of playing football. You know what I'm saying? And I want to be around, for service wise. I want to be around that because I know. I still talk to my coaches. Some of my coaches. There's one in particular, Coach Avon, that was he was eventually became the disciplinarian at Jesuit, headmaster at Stewart Hall, which is great schools, and we still talk to each other. I still call him coach,
Right.
because I respect them. Just because I didn't have a dad around at the time. My mom and dad had gotten divorced, so the kind of like my guardrails at that time were other people's parents and my
Yep.
coaches,
Yep.
and they helped lay a groundwork for me. I went way off on a tangent once I broke loose.
Yeah,
but
so
it was
did I.
but
So
it
did
was
I.
it was my formative years, and the foundation was there.
Yep.
The foundation was there, and I was able to come back to that. And I remembered that what saved my life has been coaching, and I remembered that the influence that those guys had in my life, and I wanted to possibly be like an inch of that or a gram of that in somebody else's life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, like I, I was thinking about it last night. Thinking about it today, and like I liken it, I liken it to some sort of like spirituality, like there's like a God, sort of aspect in it, a fellowship aspect of it, a community aspect of it. Like it like creates a loop, right? Like you have someone there to kind of like take you through football, take you through life. Like you said, be the sort of guardrails. And that's something that you need because you know what I mean. Like I know for me, like I'm in my own shoes, and sometimes I'm too close to see the things that I have to see. Somebody other than me has to be there, someone that I trust, and that's not interested in the outcome, someone that genuinely cares about me. Like I always need that. Like today I still need that. Like I have a kid and I've got a business and all that type of stuff. I'm like an adult, but I still need it. And then coaching, it allows you to be that for someone else, and it's like that like selfless service to me is like a way. It's a way that maybe you kill your ego, maybe like it helps you think about yourself less, like think about your own problems less, like it helps you worry less about yourself because you're thinking about someone else just for a moment to allow you to kind of keep things, sort of doing all right. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but that's the way
Yeah,
I see
yeah,
it.
it does. And for me, I mean, when you're young, you're like, man, I'll know when I'm an adult and whatever. These guys adults are going through stuff at the first time in their life too. They're having kids that they've never had before. They're experiencing stuff that they're never having before. Whereas when you're coaching, you're almost like you said, you're in a loop. So you're dealing with the same kind of problem. You're dealing with 17, 18-year-olds and their problems, and you start to know, and you can see them coming, and you kind of
Yeah.
you can kind of steer them. Like, but I've seen this. I equate it to like, it's not that I'm wisdom. It's the kind of wisdom like where these kids, and a lot of these kids are smart. So you got to kind of be. They can't catch you like slipping, because at least for me, if I catch you slipping and you're talking out of line to me, I'm just not gonna trust you anymore. So what I try to tell them is that listen, but it's like if a new reboot of the Titanic comes out
Yep.
next week, right? I may not see this movie, so I don't know what they've fed them on what song they were playing on the deck, or what happened with the ballroom, whatever. But I know if it sticks to history, at the end that boat's gonna hit the iceberg and it's gonna sink. So
Right.
so maybe I haven't seen exactly what the situation that these kids are going through, but I've
Yeah.
lived it and I've been around it long enough to kind of see it coming, and you can kind of like. So it's not that
Yeah.
I'm smarter than you, but I've seen this movie before, bud.
Yeah,
So I kind of know where you're going with this. So you try to kind of convey that to them and these kids, and kind of steer them, or at least lay the groundwork for them to have to be able to be successful. And football is so applicable to that. But it's hard. It's tough work. There's a lot of grinding.
Yeah.
You're relying on other people. You're only as good as your weakest link. And it's just like life. It's like football is very applicable to life. You got to deal with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
It's not fair sometimes. People
Yes,
that are talented,
yes,
that
yes.
don't put in the work.
Yeah.
And you see them be successful. But I always tell kids that whether you're successful at this or something else, if you're a hard worker and you work hard just for the sheer sake of working hard, where the reward is just, I want to work hard, I want to put in my best, that's going to get you, whether it's on the football field or in life or in business, you're going to succeed because you work hard for the sheer sake of working hard. And that's something that you try to instill in people, that it's not always about the reward. You just got to put out your best effort, and that's all anybody can do.
Yeah, I definitely see what you're saying. It's coaching at Belen long enough. It's like you have the same characters, but the names
It's the same type of kid.
Right.
At any Jesuit school you go to, it's the same type, usually the same type of kid. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, and then it's like to bring it back to like spirituality is like to like buy in to like a good culture, like a winning culture that goes to the weight room, that has like a singular mind, that is working towards like a common goal to like fully buy in and do it. That means two things. That means to me that you have faith it's gonna work, and then two, it means that you're like living, you're like doing what the team wants,
Selfless.
right?
You're being
Right.
selfless.
Yes.
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 And that leads to success.
Yes.
Being
And it's
selfless.
like, hey, look, like I'm gonna do all these things that I probably don't want to do, and I'm gonna work my ass off to because I believe that this is gonna give me the best the best chance to win or succeed or improve, and even if it doesn't if it doesn't work out, at least you could say that you gave it like your best effort or whatever.
And you'll see that with our kids a lot. I mean, they on the successful team, when we've had successful, a lot of selfless guys they'll do the role that you ask them to play. They're not about and being selfless is that. I mean, you're doing something for somebody else. It's part one of our faith calls for us to do, right? I mean, you're asked to be selfless. You're asked to sacrifice. You're asked to do for others. You know what I'm saying, without necessarily expecting anything in return. And when you can instill that in kids to worry more about the team or somebody else than themselves, that oftentimes leads to success on the field or wherever. I mean, you'll see them bond together, and you see that in football. I mean, I'm going to my 35-year reunion now in next week in New Orleans, and I'm going to be hanging out with guys that I played football with.
Nice.
Those are the guys that I'm saying that's what I look forward to seeing. You know what I'm saying these people, and it's 35 years since we graduated, and yet and I'm out of town or whatever. But when Jesuit makes it to the state playoffs, I they made it. I fly in when they beat John Curtis, which is a powerhouse in Louisiana.
Nice.
They went and played against the next time that I went in was when they saw Catholic, which is another powerhouse at Baton Rouge. And we're just like, it's like Belen and like any there's a camaraderie there.
Yeah, of course.
That you
of course.
forge on the field, that you forge out of
Yeah.
out of tough times that you just don't. It's stuff you don't never forget. You know
Yeah,
what
it's
I'm saying?
like a common problem and a common solution. Like
Absolutely.
you know what I mean?
And going through that together through tough times, it's like steel. You know what I'm saying? When you want to temper steel, you want to make it. You stick it in that fire, you burn off all the, and that's what makes the steel hot. I mean, it makes the steel strong, right? You temper it, and you make it tough. You make it harder, and that temperance is the stuff that you go through in football and whatever. Like these are the guys that you talk to when you're having trouble with your girlfriends and you're out and whatever, and maybe get some kind of scuffle. I mean, these are the guys that respond.
Right,
You see all that.
of course.
These are the kind of things that you build memories with, and you build and you build friendships and lifelong friendships.
So we talk about your 1 year coaching out with your brother. Then there's a big gap. Which,
Big gap, yeah.
We won't talk about that too much. just in a general way, to only explain what got you to come back.
I don't mind. You know what I'm saying? I had a tough time. I feel like I told you.
Yeah.
I went to Jesuit school. I veered off. You start thinking that you let your ego kind of take over, and you start thinking that you can operate in the gray areas. You know what I'm saying? You're going out, you're drinking, you start to do stuff. Doing ecstasy and this and that, and all of a sudden, it goes from 1 or 2 days a week to where it's like all the time.
Yes.
And my life had gotten way out of control, and it took the death of a team. We weren't in the same. We were classmates and teammates. We weren't in the same group. I'm saying, but it took the death of a guy, and he was coaching at the time. He was a Kyle Acosta. He was a head coach at a school in Place, and he had a complication, whatever. He wound up taking his life, and that shocked me into like I gotta do something.
Yeah, something has to change. Like
do
you had like a window of willingness to change something, and I'm sure that you took action towards it.
I
right?
did.
And like you didn't take action in that moment, then you would have been going back to the same
Probably
shit.
so. No, and mind you, it did. It took a little bit. I kind of like it. I've had a couple fumbles and stumbles and whatever, but yeah, it did. I reached out to a buddy of mine, Butch Blanchard, called me. The guy I played football with. A guy I grew up with in Lakeview. Lakeview was where we grew up in New Orleans.
Right.
It's an area of New Orleans. So I had grown up with him. We've been friends since seventh grade. So we've been lifelong friends. He called me and told me what happened.
Right.
And I immediately reached out to the kid's mom. She took my call, and I just said, I gotta do something here, and I went to like an Emmaus retreat. My mom had constantly tried to push.
Nice.
Yeah. My mom would constantly try to push me to good, and like when someone's pushing you that way, it's just
Yeah,
like
you're like, nah.
really.
They're planting seeds though. They're planting little seeds.
Yeah,
They're
and she was constantly playing. So when I was just there at Mass one Sunday, and the guys got up and started talking about Emmaus, and I said, I'm going to go to that. And since it came from me, I jumped at the opportunity. I went. That weekend my mom wound up landing in the hospital like that Friday. And I went to go see her. And I said, I'm just not going to go. She said, no. All right, go to the retreat. And that retreat, there was just a lot of God incidences that happened after that retreat.
Yes.
I wound up getting like a
a sequence of events that somehow lined up one after another.
And it just, when at least with me, God knows exactly the things that He needs to touch or where he's going to catch my eye. I know, and I know that it's Him steering me or at least giving me a little nudge. Hey, look, this is I'm here.
For sure.
And that ministry is a call to service. Like eventually they tell you, and what I did for a while was
service is super important.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and it saved my life.
Yes.
So I was for several years, I was working those retreats. So we were either preparing. We had 4 retreats, 2 in English and 2 in Spanish. So a Good Shepherd. So I was either working at like preparing for a retreat, working a retreat, or
yes.
So it was like
you dove in.
So that became right.
That.
So that became my 12-step program.
Yes.
And I apologized to people, and I did whatever I needed to do.
Of course.
And then eventually, the opportunity came in. I don't remember how. I mean, I had talked to Mario Martinez a while back. We worked out together
at the
Zone.
Right?
Yes, at the Zone, and years earlier.
Yes.
And I kind of maybe talked about maybe coaching, and then and I don't know. I just got the bug, and I just decided I just went over there. I talked to Coach Stewart, the legend of the winningest coach and the dean of high school football.
The dean.
And I just walked in there, and I said, Coach, I called. I think I called. They had given me Aparicio. I posted Aparicio's number. It was his JV coach at the time, and he's been there for many years. And I reached out to him, and he turned me on to Stewart. I went up there, and he goes, so I said, well, look, I played at Jesuit, and he goes, you're hired. So he had me on. So I helped with the linebackers the first year, and then the gentleman who was coaching was the head JV guy. Wound up leaving.
Okay.
And I slid right into that, position as the head coach.
And you still have it today.
And I still have it today. And
that was like 2007, 6?
Yeah, 7. Yeah, 7. Yeah. So it's been a while. I've been through the ups and downs there. It's impressive when I came right on and we made that state run and we had all those teams that it was just like, wow,
that's right.
This is easy.
My first year was the year that we went to state.
Yeah. 2009, and we went undefeated as a JV, and I've gotten 6-1, 5-2, whatever. But I think I've won any more.
I think we went undefeated, maybe one more time after that, or maybe two more times after that.
I
think we had a run.
But it was like a little I did a couple of 5-1, 6-1s.
Maybe that was it.
And then I did like a shorter season. It was only like 4 or 5 games that we wound up going undefeated. I didn't count that one.
So look, I can relate. I had my little time that I went off the rails, and it's funny. I was always kind of off the rails, always. I was always kind of, because I have like the speech impediment, right? I had the stutter, and for me it was like, I think alcohol affects me differently than the average person, right? I drink alcohol, and I can talk.
Right.
And,
Right, sure.
and I'm
Yeah,
I'm
it gives
good.
it gives it all to you, man.
Like I'm good.
I was like that on coke.
I mean,
yeah.
uppers.
Yeah.
It's like you just turn up the volume.
Yeah,
You know
man.
what I mean?
was just saying that you're all loose and you're having fun and it's all fun and games. You're losing weight. You're looking good. You got until it starts like clamping down and you just like you can't even speak. It's horrible. You're going.
So it was like like high school. It was like every other weekend, and then in college it was like for sure every weekend and some weekdays, and that I ended up playing at Catholic University. I graduated in 2009. Came home and it's funny because I started coaching, like my uncle had passed away that April of 2009, and then or 2008 I think, and my cousins were playing football, so Danny Garrigo and Gabby Garrigo.
That's right. I remember. I forgot that you guys were cousins. Yeah.
And I was like, look, I'm gonna coach football. I had no interest in coaching. I'm gonna coach football and just be around him every day. And I I had good intentions with that, right? And then, that summer he ends up quitting. You know what I mean? And I just stayed on the staff, and I kept partying, and my partying kind of was somewhat stable. It was kind of on the rails slightly, and then I started law school, and then it was the being in sports thing basically ended, and then I was just in law school, which is not a very spiritual place. It's like kill or be killed, tons of egos, and then it was I discovered some other substances. And it worked, and it was very useful.
Sure.
Till it wasn't.
Till it wasn't.
Till it wasn't.
Yeah.
Till it wasn't.
Yeah.
And I I'll save the whole story, but long story short, something happened, and I went and I got help. I have been sober since March 5th, 2016.
That's great. That's important.
And it was
it's not easy.
No.
Not.
I mean, it's easy when you first start. It's very hard when you first start. It's really, really difficult, and it's a lot of work. And then it gets easier, but
you put distance between you're stacking days
and you just look at look at day one, right? Hey, the day that I went to my first retreat, or my first sort of white chip, or look at that, just check day one compared to now, and you're I don't want that old life back.
Oh man, you don't. And what happens is that what happened to me is that you put enough distance between it, and my arrogance came back a little bit. So then you start thinking, I can have a couple beers, and then
Yeah.
And I think I had a conversation with you. You were like,
It's-
well, I don't know, coach.
Yes.
You
were
want
telling
to go
me.
hang out? And I'm like, I'm fine, buddy. Don't worry about it. And sure enough, I mean, soon enough,
Yeah.
you have enough. It gives you line, and then it just says, and it goes, ooh, and it yanks you back.
Yeah,
So I've had a couple fumbles like that where
Yeah.
and it's arrogance. It's like
Yeah.
I got it now. I got it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I got the tail.
Like
I got the
taking
bull
it
by
back.
the tail. Yeah, I got it.
Taking
You
back the
always
ego,
wanna be able to
baby.
be control. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
ego, and
Yeah.
you can't, and it'll maybe you can. And it was to a point where I was doing a couple beers here and there for
Right.
almost a year or two. So I thought I really had it by the short hairs at that point, and it didn't. It did, sure enough.
So the way that I was taught it is, and this is the way that I look at it, which I was taught this in a program, and it's kind of weird, but it makes sense, based on what you just said. So alcoholism is two things. It's number one, a physical allergy, meaning once I have one, my body, something happens to my body, and I just want more of it. That's part one. Part two is the mental obsession that next time will be different, right? I have this resume, right, of all the things that I've done, it's like it's like a huge scroll,
back to the same.
right?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, wow, look at this drink. One drink.
What's up?
This time will
Back
be
to the
different.
beat.
This time will be different.
And the worst part about it is if you're able to do it like once or twice, where you're like, oh, see, I did it. I did
Yes,
it.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
all right, I got
Yes,
you.
you're like-
and then it's that.
Like, oh, come on.
But you know, back to the spirituality part.
Yeah.
I tried a lot of times to do it under control and under my own volition.
yeah,
And the minute because again, my ego said I'm not, I'm above I can control this.
yeah,
I got it. I'm saying, and the minute you realize that you can't, and you put it at the foot of Christ's cross and say, listen, I can't, man. You gotta take this over for me, and just like that.
Hey, praying works.
Just like that.
Praying works. It's mind blowing.
Yes, Coach. I mean, I was at one point. I couldn't hold a job. I couldn't. I didn't have a girlfriend. There was no woman in my life. I was fighting all the time, getting in trouble,
Fighting with everybody.
crashing cars.
Fighting with everybody.
I was doing
Yes,
all kind of
yes.
stuff. And then the minute I turned it over, like instantly, the agency was turned over to me. I got with Mary.
Yes, yes.
We were married a year later.
Well,
I mean, just things were just like 40,
Yeah.
30 years of maybe 20 years of me just banging my head against the same wall.
So your life is super small, right? And then it becomes huge, right? And like sometimes it's like it's dangerous because it gets too good, and then you're like, you know what? I got this.
It is. That's what
I mean, I gotta humble yourself to God and keep
absolutely
keep,
and
keep
never,
on turning it over.
And which coaching is that? I mean, being around the kids that
Yes,
you just
yes,
don't have time.
it's super helpful, man.
And it's service.
Yes.
And it's just giving back, and it's what's kept me.
Because they don't really pay you. Like what? I mean, don't like say numbers, but like,
buddy,
what's the? It's basically volunteer. Like they're paying for your gas.
It is volunteer.
They're paying for your gas.
No, and you know what I do is I take that check and send it to Jesuit. So that's my way. You know what I'm saying? I rob Peter to pay Paul. I mean, I give whatever money to Jesuit, and then since I can't coach there,
Right.
I do it here, and I give back my the stipend to whatever.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of Belen and all that. I mean, it's the alumni come back to coach, kids' parents. It's volunteer. You know what I'm saying, and we're doing it with that. I mean, we you don't want to say you get what you pay for, but I mean, it's out of love that these people are doing. They're vested in the program, and you want to see that because these are the guys that kind of know. Alumni come back, they know these kids can't pull anything over on them. They know I've been through where you've been, so I know what the homework is like. I know, and I did it, so I expect you to do it.
Like not just right, because it's not just football. It's like getting through classes and
That's a lot to work with.
and the social stuff and the parents and the things at home and the siblings and it's like all the regular stuff, and yeah, no, and it's almost like sponsorship, right? Like to compare it to like a 12-step program, it's almost like sponsorship. We're like, and it's you have to get up and you have to keep doing it. Like it's not like as soon as you stop doing service, I'm sure like something's gonna go. You know what I mean? Like it's it's harder and harder just to stay sane.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And
I don't mind. You know what I'm saying, like anything else. I mean, I'm there. And just around the kids. It keeps you young. It keeps you whatever. And you're having to do stuff with them. And it gets you through whatever situation. So you're not thinking about anything else. You're sitting around, don't have anything to do. You're more likely to do something you shouldn't be doing. You know what I'm saying? That's the same thing for them too. And what I try to tell them, I mean, listen, if you got a group this size, and I've talked to them before, like a little bit about addiction and this, that, and what's going on. I mean, cause in a class of 200 kids.
I remember that, the first practice that I went to with you, like you made sure to tell all the kids, hey, like if you're going through anything, like tell somebody.
You have to, and as men, you want to kind of control and
not ask for help.
Myself, not ask for help.
Yeah. But
I tell them, you guys, it's 250 guys. Somebody's gonna be addicted to alcohol, to drugs, to porno, to something.
Right.
You guys are gonna have something, and you need to don't not say something, because I've had a couple guys that committed suicide that are my classmates, and then I had a buddy of mine. We were tight, like thick as thieves, He called me. We were at one of our meetings on Sunday, at one of our meetings at Belen, watching film in the morning. He called me and he's like, "Hey man, what's going on?" I said, "Already, everything's good. I'm at a meeting." He said, "No, just call me back later." I forgot to call him back that night, and that night I get a call from one of my other classmates saying the guy had taken his life. So it's like that. So and then you're replaying 50. How could what if I would have said something? What if what I'm saying? So you want to be, you know, that's part of it. Part of the brotherhood. Part of whatever is to kind of keep each other in check and call each other out when you're doing something. I'm saying.
And it's like it's almost like a, when someone does want to be helped and asks for help, it's kind of a gift. Like it's, you can't say no. You have to help them. Like that's number one, right? Because, for all the obvious reasons that we stated so far, but also because hey, like, March 5th, 2016, for me, a bunch of people helped me, and then I didn't pay them. I didn't ask. They didn't ask for anything.
When you help somebody without any kind of, that's a pure act of like.
Right.
You want to be that kind of person.
Yes.
You're not looking for an angle. Why? What?
Like, which is weird.
Yeah.
Which is like, especially in Miami.
Yeah. It's weird. I'd have like people would ask you like, I tell them I'm gonna do this, and like, well, how do I know you're gonna? Well, I just told you I'm gonna do it. But I was looking for like, what's the angle? There's no angle, dude. I'm just telling you what I'm saying. Right. I'm a man of my word. I'm trying to.
You have to be on. Yeah, that's another thing too. Like that's another cornerstone just to like general spirituality is like rigorous honesty, like being honest about with yourself, right? Like which is super important because like I can hide this drink and I can drink it and then tell everyone that I'm sober, but like I'm lying to me. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like step one is you gotta be fucking honest with yourself, and then that carries on to everything else. Has to. And
you're only fooling yourself when you lie to yourself with her, because eventually everybody, it all gets out.
And then okay, the perfect segue, Mario. The iron doesn't lie.
No, never, never. Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't. Man.
The iron does not lie.
That's part of the way. Like, and I heard your conversation with Coach Delgado.
Yeah.
Listen, it's the truth.
It's true.
It's character building because you can't get around it. It is you put the weights on there, and either you can do it or you can't do it.
Yeah.
You can't. There's no excuses. Oh, but I thought, and you want to break these kids out of these habits of just don't come at me with excuses, dude. Just get it done. And the weight room and stuff like that. It instills in you a work ethic, and like I said, you can either move the weight or you can't.
So let's add this to the conversation. So yes, like we agree, the weight doesn't lie. Like on day one, you're lifting 100. I was like 100 pounds. On day 60, if you're still lifting that 100 pounds, then you're full of shit, right? Like, and you're like like they're probably not showing up. They're probably coming up with excuses. They're probably injured.
I'm working out, injured. I'm doing my own thing.
Or I'm running track. Or I'm gonna do something else. And
which is the hard part about football, you know what I'm saying? Because you it's not a lot of fun. You mean you're having to be in sweating and not out there playing the whole time. You got to put in a lot of work to get into.
It's like 10 games a year.
yes.
10 games a year.
Yes.
And then nobody trusts that guy. They say stuff and you don't believe them, right? Is that much different than like me before March 5th, 2016? Like, my parents would like fucking ask me things and I would answer them and they're like, yeah, okay.
Okay, yeah.
All right, cool.
Addicts lie about it.
Right? And then now I'm like, now when things happen, they come to me for help.
Yeah. And you know what used to tear me up, man, and it would break my heart, is that when people would see me, you'd see them like, oh, here he comes again. And I wasn't eliciting that same smile. Like, when you walk in the room and somebody smiles and like, hey, look, it's coming, and it was hard because I walk in the room and they'd be like, oh,
here we go.
Here we go. And that it breaks your heart.
Yeah, of course.
And that's part of the pain you feel, and the loneliness and the embarrassment and all that stuff, which is all, and then all that fuels you to drink more and self-medicate, and it's horrible.
It's funny how it works too, because it kind of it kind of fools you, right? Because you initially, for me at least, for me, I started drinking because I wanted to like connect with the world.
Sure.
Like I
And
wanted
at
it to be
first, and when
me.
you first do it, it does.
Yes, it works.
You're
It works.
social and you're
It
whatever,
works.
but then you're getting sloppy and you're pain in the butt and you're acting like an idiot and you're saying you
Yes.
don't remember and it's miserable, man. The anxiety attacks that I would get, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy, and it was miserable. And like you said, but hey, hell, Thursday would roll around, I'd be
Hey,
right back. Or you just keep
you
rolling.
get your spirits back, baby.
You keep rolling, and
Yeah.
I mean, you
Yeah.
don't get a hangover if you keep drinking. You know what I'm saying, or you keep doing whatever. You just keep rolling, and then you're like 3-4 days into it. You know what I'm saying, and then you're miserable and you can't sleep, and you know, and it was just it's a miserable lifestyle, man. It really is. Really, but you know, when you're in the thick of stuff, you just it's tough to break out of it. You know what I'm saying, it's tough to break out of it.
So, we've been going roughly like 30 minutes. Um, and I don't want to take up too much of your time. Like I talked to you for, you know, forever about this. Um, let's let's like wrap it up. Let's like close on this topic. So you went through, like uh, playing football, coaching football for like a year, and then gap, and then now getting back into it. Like, what got you back into it? Um, and like we mixed in some stuff along the way. Let's talk about like what your life looks like today. Like what are the things that you do today, aside from coaching, that like keep you connected to God?
It's well, I'm a Euchar- I'm a, the reason that I got into coaching was because Kyle was a coach, and I said, you know what, he mentored kids.
I see.
You know, his mom would read about him in the paper about a winning team and whatever, and him mentoring kids.
Right.
And my mom was worried about me making it home. And so I said, I'm gonna pick up his mantle, and you know, I share a birthday with the guy's mom, and we talk all the time.
Right.
When I go to Louisiana, she's gonna go. I'm going to her house. She's gonna fix me gumbo, me and Mary. You know what I'm
Nice.
saying? So it's been a healing process for her and for me, where I tell her, listen, I'm coaching, and I'm coaching in Kyle's name. So we're doing this together. Kyle and I are doing this together, and that's what's kept me, you know, saying on the straight and narrow for the most part. You know what I'm saying? And that's the reason I do it. You know, and at the end of the day, I'm an insurance agent. So, you know, Mary, my wife, has been wonderful. She's been another saving grace for me. I mean, obviously she's been there through some of the stuff.
She's great. I love her wife.
She's
I love her wife.
She's
It's just like great vibes. Like,
oh my gosh, she's a
all the
spectacular-
time.
she
She's a
is.
sweetheart.
She is a spectacular person.
Yeah.
And that's my foundation. You know what I'm saying, and she sacrifices because she stays at work. She does all the stuff while I'm out coaching.
Yep.
And coaching takes up a lot of time.
It does.
I'm there in the mornings for the workouts.
Yeah.
You know, I come home, I'm tired, so
Yep.
I sometimes I take a nap because I have lymphomas or whatever, and then I have thyroid issues or whatever. And I'm an old man, so I gotta rest and I gotta work out and put it to work on there. So she carries most of the load, and could we be making a lot more money in insurance if I would focus on? Yeah, probably, but I mean,
Is it
my
worth it?
legacy's not gonna be
Yeah.
what I did as an insurance agent. My legacy is going to be what I did as a coach.
Yeah. You know what you gave to those kids.
What did I give? What did I? I think we're not going to have. Mary can't have kids, so we don't have kids. What her and I leave behind is the sacrifices that we made so that I could coach
Right.
and be around kids and try to be, you know, what my coaches were to me to them. So that's my legacy. That's what I leave behind, and that's why I do it. And doing it has kept me sober. You know, that in a nutshell, that's what it is. That's what I do. I don't want people to know me as an insurance agent. I love the fact that people call me coach.
Of course.
And I see it as a sign. I mean, I still call my coaches coach, and I still appreciate what the sacrifices that they did for me. So at the end of the day, my legacy will be that.
Amen to that, brother.
God bless you, coach. Thank you. Thank you for having me.